It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
All right, SKOR North Twins Show. Apologies for the delay here. Took a long time in the clubhouse, but Twins get a big win today. They sweep the San Francisco Giants. They sweep the whole bleeping homestand. Hit that like button and subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. My name is Declan Goff, coming at you live from the Target Field press box. Hey, appreciate you guys for getting us over 5,000 subscribers. That's awesome. That's badass. I really appreciate that we've been able to do that. We built this from zero just a little over a year ago, and now we're at 5,000. So thank you so much for those who have subscribed. Continue to do so if you haven't. Twins pick up another big win, a walk-off win today over the San Francisco Giants. They complete the sweep of their homestand. They took 3 against a struggling Birds team, and they obviously just took 3 more against San Francisco, who came in like easily the best team on paper. At least the Twins were going to face this year, and especially on this homestand. And when you really break down where the Twins and who the Twins have beaten, and got teams like Chicago, who they beat up on, this Baltimore team who's obviously been mostly very, very disappointing. But then also San Fran, this was a good test here. Twins came through with a big walk-off win on a day too where not everything was clicking, especially right away. We'll get into some game recap stuff here off the jump, and then I'll take some questions or kind of give you some observations just from the clubhouse. And I was only here today, obviously coming back from vacation just yesterday ironically from California, where the San Francisco Giants are heading back to go home. I was out there, so this was my first only game of the homestand. And yes, there was some grief given from other media members and even Rocco about coming back, and if they had lost this winning streak, I might be heading back to the West Coast. Regardless, the Twins do pick up a big win today. They walk off the Giants 7-6. So Pablo Lopez on the mound, and it's a Pablo day, right? It's great. And Pablo certainly, you see his stat line today, and I don't think it's certainly not like a horrendous stat line. It's 6 innings, 5 hits, allowed 4 runs, struck out 6, but was certainly not as sharp as maybe we're accustomed to seeing from Pablo Lopez. And he was able to really still battle and give this team a good enough chance to win. And, last year, Pablo had a really up and down year, right? It kind of got off to a rough start, but then he was able to rebound really nicely and then settle in. But he also still then had the bookends, kind of had a bad end of the season. And he also had games kind of like today where they do unravel, and that wasn't the case. Again, I think Pablo certainly would have liked to be a lot sharper than he was in this performance, and Twins fans and himself even, and Pablo Lopez is certainly used to being a little bit more, a little bit better and more sharper. What was interesting today was, from Pablo at least, some sinkers. So he threw a ton of sinkers today, at least a ton for Pablo's standards. I mean, he threw 91 pitches, 13 of them were sinkers, but this is a guy in Pablo who rarely even throws that sinker. So he must have had something, I think, on San Francisco that he really wanted to execute. He did throw his healthy amount of fastballs. Velo was down just like a tiny bit, not to a concerning point. But when the offense, because the Giants got off to a 1-0 lead right off the gate, and the Twins offense were swinging at pitches early. First 3 innings, they had basically had nothing to show for it. Harrison Bader was really the only one who came up with their first base knock. But then in the middle innings, so right, you see a pitcher a second time through, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, they put up 5 runs. They start stringing together really good at bats, and they're able to dig themselves basically out of what was a 3-0 hole. And 3-0, in the 4th inning isn't a death knell, but it's still enough to where, all right, maybe this is not the Twins' night, and the winning streak maybe comes to an end, and you move on and have an off day tomorrow and go from there. No, the Twins' offense was able to rally and still able to put up really good at bats here today. Trevor Larnach continues to be swinging a really good bat. He's now 3 for 5 today. Brooks Lee, I mean, this is a dude that struggled at the plate mightily last year, and even took a little bit when he came back from his injury to kind of find things a little bit and get back to the hitter that he was in the minors, and he was as a draft prospect, where he was, the 8th overall pick in the draft, and he's hitting cleanup today. Carlos Correa got an off day, so he didn't have a great homestand per se. I think he only had like 2 hits and 19 at-bats before today, but a 3 for 5 day, had a big home run that kind of put the Twins offense back in place. And he was hitting cleanup. again, a 24-year-old dude who's a switch hitter, who's versatile in the field, that is supposed to be, a cornerstone building block for the Twins. You want to see these guys be able to hit cleanup and be able to come up with big base knocks, right? And Brooks Lee was able to do that today. So Carlos Correa was, I think, originally in the lineup, and then he wasn't in the lineup. I wouldn't be concerned about that. This is the first game that Correa hasn't started, I think, since like April 16th. So 21-ish, 24-ish straight games if you factor in the off days there for Carlos Correa. So Brooks Lee ends up starting at short, and then he also gets the cleanup spot. And Correa's starting to put things together. At least there's signs of life there at the plate for Correa. So I wouldn't be too concerned, especially with the off day tomorrow before the Twins hit the road, face that same Baltimore team they just swept a week ago. They're going to get them again. Then the Twins will be in Milwaukee to face the Brewers as well. So the offense battled things off, which was obviously great. So we talked about Pablo, talked about the offense obviously stepping up here. You know what? Before I get to that, let's talk Royce Lewis, right? Royce, who came in today, I believe 0 for 15 on the season. 0 for 36 even if you go back to last year. I had a conversation with Royce today after the game just about how much he really doesn't care about that type of stuff. He's not even aware of it. I asked him, are you aware that you were 0 for 36 going back to last year? And he kind of laughed. He said, no, I honestly didn't know that. He's come back now from this injury in that hamstring. And I think it's probably safe to say, he's still getting his timing down, right? Like, you go from AAA, which is a lot easier, it's a hitter-friendly league, and then you come up to the big leagues, and you haven't seen live pitching in 6 weeks, and you stopped and started right. You had spring training. He hurts his hamstring. He's on the bench for 6 weeks doing rehab. Goes to the Saints for a week, but then they're also getting rained out all the time. His timing is still a little off, right? He's still not probably where it would like to be. And he comes up today and finally, gets the big hit, bases loaded. He's one of the most prolific hitters, honestly, in the big leagues with the bases loaded. We all know that. But he also then finds, a little bloop there that falls in on down the right field line for his second hit of the day. That's baseball. Like, some of that stuff eventually is going to, break your way. And even there was defensively today when Royce was at third in the, top of the 10th when Duran came into the game. We'll have some bullpen conversation here, too, in just a bit. A ball goes 2 feet up the line, which Royce points out, and I've noticed this too. That type of play against Duran, I swear to God, he has like 15 of them against him in his career. Like, it happens to him all the time. So there's I think timing things and, just watching him run a little bit. Like, I don't know if Royce is 100% to where he would like to be, but he's to a point where he can feel like he can do damage in the box, and especially once he gets, some of that timing and stuff down. And yeah, could you make the case, could he have stayed in AAA for a little bit longer to get some timing down? I actually would argue, that's kind of not a waste for him, but he needs to see major league pitching. I know people get fed up with, especially star players on the Twins, and, Buxton, who, God willing, has been healthy all year, and Royce, who has obviously battled his barrage of injuries. I understand you might want him to get that timing down in AAA, and he's also, still played in parts of 4 seasons now with the Twins. It's hard when you're not playing. So I think eventually that bat for Royce starts to come along, and there's been more highs with Royce. I think that's the thing with Royce is, yes, the injuries have happened, and Buxton at times though before he has dealt with injuries, and right now even he's a streaky hitter. There's going to be periods where he can't hit anything, and then there's going to be periods where he's obviously pulling home runs and doing the buck truck and carrying an offense. Royce has, in my opinion, just from what you've seen of him from his big league career, you've seen more success than failures with him. So I think eventually that timing starts to work out a little bit. I think Royce is someone who wants to play every day. Yes, they need to be careful with him. I understand the medical side. I understand the Royce side, and hell, throw in the Twins fan side of they want to see Royce Lewis play. But Royce getting his first hit today, I think, was huge. It bases loaded, gets that. I mean, he even said to me, there's no monkey off the back, right? Even though you're 0 for 15, he feels he's still putting together good at-bats. And once he really, I think, gets that timing down to where he'd like it to be, I think you're going to see, Royce Lewis be exactly who he is, which is one of the more prolific hitters, and saw it in the postseason a few years ago, and that'll obviously be the case. Okay, so let's talk about the bullpen. And by the way, hit the like button and the subscribe button here in the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone that has done so and helped us got to 5,000 subscribers. Let's do 5,000 more. Let's get to 10,000, huh? So let's talk bullpen, because I think the hot button issue from today's game, and honestly, it's kind of been a touchy subject at times with Twins fans this season, is Griffin Jax. So let me just give you the lay of the land of where the Twins bullpen kind of stood. I'll also provide, just what I would think what I would do in that situation, but also then what Rocco kind of clarified in the postgame, and I also saw this in the clubhouse as well. So, Jax comes in. He has pitched in 3 of the last 4 days. He's obviously not where he would like to be from a workload standpoint, like in terms of efficiency. He's been throwing a ton. The Twins have a 1-0 lead going into the 8th, and Jax has certainly not been as sharp this year. And Jax gives up a run, loads the bases, labors for 29 pitches, allows the 1 earned run. Then we have to go to the 9th. Then, the Twins walk it off in extras. And I get Twins fans' reservations about why is he struggling so much, which, I think that's on Griffin to figure out his location and execution. But also, why are you using a guy who has exclusively struggled, this year in some of the higher leverage situations? And what we're clearly learning is Rocco still leans on the Jax and the Durans in those high leverage situations. Personally, I would have gone with Danny Coulomb, who pitched the 9th inning today and hasn't allowed an earned run since like 2004. I would have given Danny Coulomb probably the 8th inning and pitched Yohan Duran for the 9th. I know it's a blown save and a black eye on the stats for Griffin Jax, but Rocco brought up, which is, again, this is just the information I'm relaying to you guys. I go in the clubhouse, we get info. I like to try to be as transparent as I possibly can with you guys. And he said, I understand that people, and especially Griffin, are going to see that stat line, right? 1 inning, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He's used to putting up zeros. That could have been disastrous, which is exactly kind of what was my immediate takeaway after he got through the 29 pitches of, man, all things considered, in the last 5 days, I looked this up. Let's see here. Because I was shocked, number one, he was being used for the 4th time in 5 days. But also, he has thrown 76 pitches in the span of 5 days, man. I mean, we're in the face of, or the place of baseball where starters are 5 and fly guys only getting to 76 pitches. Griffin Jax threw 76 pitches over the total course of 5 days. Like, I know it's not 76 pitches every day, but he's probably exhausted, and he's probably not 100% in terms of the pitch count and the arsenal. He's a pitcher, and he's a big leaguer. Of course he wants the ball, but I would have probably went with Coulomb. I probably would have also had Brock Stewart on standby, right? But it's a good point from Rocco, and I think that's where sometimes as managers, which again, you can disagree with it, because I also disagree with the logic of bringing him in, but as a manager, like whether you're in football or baseball or basketball, hockey, you want to see your players also kind of handle that tough spot. I know that sounds cheesy and corny, but if they can come through in those situations, forget the stats and forget kind of the circumstance. And Griffin Jax was able to at least keep his team in the game. Like, if Griffin Jax giving up 4 or 5 runs, which, by the way, I think was totally plausible, then I understand. Like, then we're having a kind of a different conversation. And I don't think, by the way, I'm not insinuating that this is something that Rocco's always going to do. Like, they haven't had an off day in a while. They've had their starters not at times. Chris Paddock had a good showing today, but like Pablo wasn't as effective. He was only going to give you 6 innings. They've been taxing that bullpen a ton. So, yes, Griffin Jax gets a blown save and gets an extra earned run on the 2025 season. But I think him being able to battle that off and keep his team still in the game was probably a good thing. Not trying to be complete coach speak, but I wanted to relay that because I think it was important for fans to also hear. I think Griffin, who eventually at one point, like a couple weeks ago, right, put himself in a position with Rocco that said, Give me the 7th inning, right? Give me the 6th inning. Give me a situation where I can kind of build up that confidence. And I think that's very important for a pitcher to acknowledge and not just to say, I'm going to stay in the same mindset and routine. If you have the self-awareness to realize that, hey, I'm maybe not as sharp as I'd like to be and I need to fix it and I still want to help the team, how can I do that? But it's probably something we're going to talk about tomorrow, too, on the state of the Twins with Mackie and Judd, even with Coach Trevor Plouffe on Tuesday. But I just wanted to kind of clarify that, too, because I had the same questions. I would have done things differently if I'm the manager here. But, yeah, a couple other things here on the SKOR North Twins Show on this extra innings episode before we wrap up. I'm going to save my Harrison Bader take for tomorrow, actually. I don't want to waste that bullet. I get some tweets, see some tweets and see some comments of what was the situation at the end of the game today, right before, by the way, Deshawn Kersy, who I haven't talked about Deshawn Kersy. I should give him some flowers here. I'm so sorry. Deshawn Kersy, awesome moment, right? Walk-off hit, a guy who clearly offense is not really part of his game. He's here for his glove. He's here for his legs, and that's versatile. But for him to come up and deliver the walk-off hit, just 2 hits and 30 at-bats this year was badass. It's awesome. Probably should have given a little bit more love to Deshawn. We talked to him in post-game today. You could tell he was really happy. You could tell his teammates honestly cared a ton because he is kind of their hype man, and he's got a lot of energy, and he asks a lot of questions, and it's an easy, fun guy to root for. So the fact that he gets rewarded with that offensive hit, that was pretty neat. But on the situation with Kersy before, like when Rocco was arguing with the umpires, so apparently the pitch clock had hit 0. The pitcher for San Francisco still delivered the pitch, which was a ball. So 2 things. Number 1, if it's a pitch clock violation, that's a ball. And number 2, if I believe it was Walker, right? Was it Ryan Walker? Yeah, Ryan Walker. If the pitch clock is a ball and the ball's outside the strike zone called a ball, it should be a ball, right? Well, the umpire basically made it like, no, I screwed up. Like, I should have probably restarted the pitch clock. Rocco's point was, okay, if you're admitting you screwed up, there was a pitch clock violation, and there was a called ball. Why are we doing this over again? It's a big point in the game. It should be the count 1-0. So there was a long conversation about that. So that's what that was kind of all about towards the end of the game. I was confused. I thought he was maybe trying. I couldn't tell it was a pitch clock or if maybe Walker was trying to quick pitch him. I thought that was my initial reaction to what Rocco was trying to figure out. We're up here on the third baseline, so it's kind of, or first baseline, I should say. So, and I'm not John Boy. I'm not Mike John Boy who can read lips really well. So I was pretty confused on what was happening, but that's kind of what happened there. So, well, appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for hanging out with me here. I know it took a little longer than expected. Clubhouse and getaway days. Sometimes everything is really quick, and then I think after emotional and big wins like this, and with an off day and it being Mother's Day, it took a little longer. So thankfully, the Twins' winning streak continues. They've now won 8 straight games, and hopefully it'll continue on the road here in Baltimore and Milwaukee. Obviously, I'll still pump out some extra innings episodes for those road games. We'll have a Trevor Plouffe Tuesday. We'll have a State of the Twins tomorrow. So there's still plenty of SKOR North Twins show content coming at you. Thank you for being patient and waiting with me not being here the last 5-6 games. I'm very glad this Twins winning streak continued, and I don't have to stop covering the Twins. In the words of Michael Scott, I'm certainly not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, and definitely don't want managers and athletes who are actually superstitious aware of when you're coming in and coming out of the ballpark. So yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. This is the SKOR North Twins Show. Keep hitting the subscribe button and the like button. 5-star rating. Oh, and also I should shout out before we wrap up here, Element Hotel. So if you haven't already, I know there's a ton of San Francisco Giants fans. So if you haven't already, go to skornorth.com/element, and you can get a 15% room rate. It's just steps away here from Target Field. So I know the Twins are going to Baltimore, and then Milwaukee's coming to town. But after that, if you're an out-of-town person, if let's say you're a Cleveland Guardians fan, no wind tunnels here, but Guards are coming to town. If you're a Cleveland fan and you want to come see the Twins play here at Target Field in a couple weeks, stay at skornorth.com/element. It's a great place to stay. So thank you, everyone, too, for supporting all of our sponsors. They make this Twin Show happen, so I appreciate that. All right, guys, Twins over 500, 8 straight wins. Don't stop us now. Here we come, Twins, right? This is good stuff. All right, this is Extra Innings. Be talking at you guys tomorrow for a State of the Twins episode.